Welcome to the deep dive. Imagine trying to stitch a picture of a bird onto a piece of translucent silk.
Right, which is already incredibly difficult.
Exactly. It takes you months of just, painstaking labor. But here is the catch. When you flip that piece of fabric over, you haven't just hidden the messy knots on the back.
Oh, this is the best part.
Right. You have somehow managed to stitch a completely different image, like an equally perfect image of a flower right on the reverse side.
Using the exact same needle passes. It is wild.
It is totally wild. And today we are diving into the source material, covering a city that has spent over 2,000 years perfecting seemingly impossible crafts, just like this.
It really is a masterclass in dedication.
It is. So for you listening right now, our mission today is to unpack the culture, the architecture, and that meticulous mindset of Suzhou, China, historically known as the Venice of the East.
And, it is a remarkable place to study, largely because it sits in such stark geographic and cultural contrast to its immediate neighbor.
Right, Shanghai.
Exactly. You could take a high-speed train from the hyper-futuristic, neon-drenched skyscrapers of modern Shanghai.
Yeah.
And less than half an hour later, you step out into a completely different world. A municipal philosophy that operates on a completely different timeline.
The visual shift alone is just staggering.
Yeah.
Based on our source text, you leave the glass and steel behind, and you are immediately enveloped in this incredibly deliberate color palette.
It is very striking.
Yeah, it's almost cinematic. The city is framed by these pristine white walls and elegant swooping black tile roofs. Plus, you have this massive network of crystal clear canals.
Spanned by ancient arched stone bridges.
Yes, but it's not just an old city, right? It's the vibe of the place.
Right. The vibe is what really stands out. Suzhou isn't just an abandoned historical relic or like a fenced-off museum. The local population takes immense active pride in their home.
Because, maintaining that look takes work.
A massive amount of work. Suzhou is in the Yangtze River Delta. It is a humid, waterlogged environment. And in that kind of climate, white walls do not just stay white on their own.
No, they attract algae and water damage.
Exactly. So the fact that traditional styles have been so meticulously preserved and kept pristine for hundreds of years, it tells us that it requires constant, deliberate intervention.
It really is a masterclass in environmental control. When I was reading the descriptions, I thought, stepping into Suzhou is like walking directly into an ancient, living landscape painting.
That is a great analogy.
Thanks. And it perfectly transitions us from the natural waterways to the highly curated, man-made nature of the city, which are, of course, its famous classical gardens.
Yes, the gardens are the absolute soul of Suzhou. And our source material rightly focuses heavily on the crown jewel of them all, the humble administrator's garden.
The Humble Administrator's Garden. I just love that name. The origin story is so charming, too.
He is a great story.
So according to the text, a long time ago, a government worker built this sprawling, intricate garden to serve as his retirement home.
Right, back in the Ming Dynasty.
Yeah. And because he was supposedly this very humble man, stepping away from politics, he gave the garden its now famous name. He claimed he just wanted to water his garden and sell vegetables.
Which is a brilliant bit of historical irony, really.
Oh, totally. A humble, massive estate.
Right. He constructs what is arguably one of the most sophisticated masterpieces of landscape architecture in human history to do his quote-unquote humble gardening.
Okay, let's unpack this, because I think we need to understand what actually makes these gardens works of art.
That is a crucial distinction.
Yeah, because when I hear garden, I picture geometric flower beds or manicured lawns. But Suzhou classical gardens operate on a completely different paradigm.
They absolutely do. It is all about spatial manipulation. In a Suzhou garden, the goal is to recreate the vast, untamed essence of the natural world, but intensely compressed into a small urban footprint.
Like shrinking a whole mountain range into your backyard.
Exactly. The text highlights some essential elements you will always find. You have tranquil ponds. These are designed to mirror the sky and double the visual space.
Oh, that is clever.
Right. And then there are open-air pavilions. These are small buildings with roofs, strategically placed to frame specific views, like looking through a camera lens.
So every angle is planned.
Every single angle. Add in lush bamboo forests to manipulate light and shadow, and vibrant koi fish in the water.
Which provides that constant fluid motion. It sounds so intensely atmospheric. But I have to stop you on one specific focus from the text. The rockeries.
Ah, yes. The rockeries are essential.
We are talking about artificial mountains, right?
Yes, crafted from special rocks, carefully arranged to mimic nature. They have the structural spine of Suzhou garden design. Artisans would meticulously stack these rocks to mimic rugged, towering peaks, just scaled down.
Wait, I have to push back on the physics of this. Because the source says someone built these fake mountains 400 years ago, just to look at them.
That is right, 4 centuries.
How does a pile of arranged rocks hold up and remain beautiful for centuries without, modern steel or concrete?
It's a refined art form, really. It raises an important point about classical Chinese engineering. They worked with nature rather than against it. First, they used a very specific stone, Taihu limestone.
Right, from the bottom of a nearby lake.
Exactly. The slightly acidic water had naturally bored complex holes into the stone over thousands of years. So the rocks already looked ancient.
Before they even left the water.
Yes. Then, when assembling the mountains, they essentially interlocked the pieces, so the center of gravity was perfectly dispersed. But the real genius, the reason the source claims these 400-year-old rockeries actually look better with age, is biological.
Biological? Wait, how so?
The artisans intentionally packed the crevices with soil, and they planted specific mosses and ancient pine trees. Over 400 years, the root systems have grown deeply through those holes.
Oh, wow. So the roots hold it together.
Yes, the roots act like living rebar. They bind the entire artificial mountain together more tightly the older it gets.
That is just incredible. The sheer patience required for that. Designing an artwork that won't actually be finished until centuries after you are dead.
It is a profound level of dedication to long-lasting craftsmanship.
It really is. And seeing how they apply that incredible patience to massive stone mountains, it provides the perfect thematic bridge to Suzhou's most delicate art form.
Which is, of course, silk.
Right, silk. It has this incredible 2,000-year legacy in the region.
It is staggering to think about. 2 millennia.
Yeah. I mean, for 2,000 years, they have been producing the best silk in China. The text lists all these everyday luxury items made right there. Clothes, elegant scarves, temperature-regulating pillows.
Silk is the literal fabric of the city.
It is, but the fabric is just the canvas, right? The magic of it all is the world-famous Suzhou embroidery, or Suzhou.
The detail they achieve is hard to comprehend.
It really is. Artists are sewing pictures of birds and flowers and winding dragons onto the fabric, and they are using threads so incredibly thin you can barely even see them.
Threads finer than a human hair.
Yeah, and here's where it gets really interesting. This is the hook we started the show with. The concept of double-sided embroidery.
The 2-layer technique.
Yes. It is like a modern 3D hologram, or a magic trick. You have this single piece of silk, you see a bird on one side, but then you flip it over, and there is a flower on the other side.
With no messy threads or knots visible anywhere.
How is that physically possible?
Well, what's fascinating here is the sheer level of amazing craftsmanship required to achieve this. It is not just sewing. It is complete mastery of perspective and patience.
Right, because there are no knots.
None. To start or finish a color, they weave the microscopic tail of the thread into the gaps of the base silk itself, hiding it completely inside the fabric's microscopic thickness.
That is mind-bending. And they split the threads too, right?
Yes. To prevent the 2-layered image from getting stiff, they split a single strand of silk thread, sometimes into 16 or even 64 individual microscopic filaments.
Splitting a thread that is already the width of a hair.
Exactly. It requires superhuman eyesight and completely steady hands. It is amazing craftsmanship.
Okay, well, exploring 400-year-old gardens and marveling at magical silk would definitely work up an appetite.
It absolutely would.
Which smoothly transitions us to the unique culinary profile of Suzhou.
Yes, the food. The flavor profile here is very distinct. As described in the source, Suzhou cuisine is fundamentally sweet and light.
Sweet and light, okay, but I need to ask for some clarification here.
Sure.
When we say sweet, are we just talking about desserts? Or does this bleed into the main courses too? Because honestly, doesn't that get overwhelming?
It is a valid question.
Yeah.
But yes, even the main dishes feature these sweet flavors. Historically, sugar was an expensive luxury, so adding it to savory dishes became a sign of prosperity.
Ah, because of all the silk wealth.
Exactly. But it doesn't get overwhelming because it is highly balanced. The text specifically highlights the sweet and sour cart.
Right, the squirrel cart.
Yes.
Yeah.
The chef meticulously scores the flesh of the fish. When it is fried, it blooms outward, creating this massive, crispy surface area.
Like a squirrel's tail.
Right. And then it is coated in a vibrant, sweet and sour sauce. The brightness of the vinegar perfectly cuts through the sweetness, so it is never cloying.
That sounds amazing. And they balance these lighter, sweeter dishes with some really comforting savory elements too, like the Suzhou noodles.
Suzhou noodles. They're distinctly thin, almost delicate, and they are served in this incredibly rich, deeply savory broth.
So you get the sweet, crispy fish grounded by this earthy, rich noodle broth.
It is perfect culinary balance.
It really is. Oh, and I eagerly have to bring up the mooncakes.
Yes, the Suzhou mooncakes are very unique.
Right, because when I think of mooncakes, I think of those dense, heavy pastries. But the text highlights how Suzhou mooncakes differ by being specifically small and crispy.
They use a flaky dough. It is a completely different texture.
Like a flaky puff pastry. I want you, the listener, to just imagine this for a second. Imagine you are sitting in a Ming Dynasty pavilion, right by a clear canal.
After taking a wooden boat ride.
Yes. You just got off the boat.
Yeah.
And you are eating these warm, incredibly flaky, crispy mooncakes while looking out over a 400-year-old artificial mountain.
It really is the ultimate sensory experience.
It truly is. So as we wrap up this deep dive, let's review some practical travel takeaways from the source.
Good idea. The source has some great tips.
Yeah, if you were to visit Suzhou, you now know the right questions to ask. You can walk up to a canal and ask, how much is a boat ride in the canal?
Or, to plan your day, you know to ask, what time do the gardens open?
Exactly. And when you are standing in front of the humble administrator's garden staring at those rockeries, you definitely want to ask, is there an English audio guide?
Because you do not want to miss the context of those gardens.
Not at all.
Yeah.
So, excuse me. So as we look at all of this, the gardens, the silk, the food, how do we sum it all up?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, Suzhou is really defined by three pillars: beauty, art, and gentle flavors.
Yes.
It is a city where art truly meets everyday life. It isn't hidden away. It is the fabric of the city itself.
The fabric of the city. I love that. And that leaves me with a final, slightly provocative thought for you to ponder.
Well, let's hear it.
We live in this highly modern, super fast-paced world, right? Next day delivery, instant gratification. But Suzhou has deliberately preserved 400-year-old rockeries.
And that 2,000-year-old painstaking silk tradition.
Exactly. It makes you wonder, what does it take for a culture to actively choose to maintain a slow, meticulously handcrafted way of life when the rest of the world is just rushing forward?
That is a fascinating question. What do we lose when we stop valuing patience?
Exactly. Something to think about. Well, thank you all for joining us on this deep dive into Suzhou.
It has been a pleasure.
Keep exploring, and we will see you next time.
See you next time.